A shrine to tell one of the most intense moments in Jesus' life, his agony in the Garden of Olives. My soul is sad unto death. Stay here and watch with me. Then, having gone a little way forward, he threw himself on the ground and prayed that, if it were possible, that hour might pass from him. And he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible to you. Take this cup away from me, but not what I want, but what you want. From light to penumbra and suffering in the Basilica of Gethsemane, a feeling experienced by architect Barluzzi during the construction of the striking Basilica of Gethsemane 100 years ago. On the afternoon of April the 19th, Brother Massimo Fusarelli, Minister General of the Order of Friars Minor visiting the Holy Land, presided over Mass together with Brother Francesco Patton, Custos of the Holy Land, Brother Ignacio Ceja Jimenez, Vicar General of the Order, and priests of the communities to celebrate 100 years since the construction of the Basilica. We know that among the rocks in the barren earth flowers can grow, the Minister General said in his homily. He pointed to 3 of those flowers, starting from the readings: the humiliation of the obedient servant that becomes healing for humanity, the obedience that Jesus learned from what he suffered, and vigilance. In the trial, the attitude that Jesus indicates is not to resist against the feelings of fear and anguish, but vigilance, to remain awake, not to be overwhelmed by suffering. After the celebration, Brother Massimo Fusarelli inaugurated the exhibition Lux Tenebra, twin of the one inaugurated at Tabor. The title of the exhibition recalls precisely this polarity, light and darkness, because the 2 basilicas whose centennial we are celebrating have this characteristic. Tabor is an explosion of light. Instead, here the architect Barluzzi wanted to represent that feeling of agony, that feeling of pain, suffering that Jesus experienced in trying to unify his human will with a divine will. Barluzzi's concern 100 years ago was to express in form, in architecture, the evangelical meaning that these shrines are meant to remind us of in this precise place. The visitor who enters from the blinding light of the outside of Jerusalem, the sunshine of Jerusalem, the clear light of the city, upon entering here, finds himself immersed in a night that is the night of Gethsemane. He is catapulted into that feeling that Jesus experienced on the night of agony. So both from an emotional point of view, with the colors and the atmosphere that he has recreated, and also intellectually with a rich symbolic apparatus that he then recreated in the domes and the mosaic decorations. For Brother Francesco Patton, guarding the place of Jesus' agony has special significance. For us to guard this place has a special meaning. We know that this stone, according to the tradition of St. Luke's Gospel, is a stone on which Jesus sweat blood. So in some way it already anticipates that shedding of blood for us that he will do on the cross. All the places that we treasure are linked to a particular moment in Jesus' life, to a particular moment of that great mystery that is the incarnation of the Son of God for our redemption, for our salvation. And so we believe what Pope Paul VI also said. Providence has willed that as Franciscans, who love the humanity of Christ, we should also be custodians of the stones that bear witness to the historical reality of the incarnation, of the redemption. The Custos of the Holy Land still recalls that this church is a very important symbol for our time. The Basilica was built after World War I, thanks to the cooperation of many countries, so much so that it earned the nickname Basilica of Nations. The presence of various representatives of the diplomatic corps confirmed that universality envisioned by Barluzzi is still a reality today.
E per noi questa basilica è un simbolo di pace. È il segno che le nazioni sono chiamate a cooperare.
And for us this basilica is a symbol of peace. It is a sign that nations are called to cooperate, not to fight each other, to join forces and also to unite resources for the good of all humanity and for peace. And this message seems to me to be particularly relevant in a time that is unfortunately crossed by too many wars, in a time when it seems that peoples have forgotten the value of cooperating and coming together, They are instead returning to exacerbate what is conflict, tension, and unfortunately the wars that are currently going on, including the wars that we experience here in the Holy Land, throughout the Middle East.
Comprese le guerre che sperimentiamo qui in Terra Santa e in tutto il Medio Oriente, sono di segno opposto.
I think this basilica is really a special place to pray for peace, to pray for reconciliation, he concluded, a place that receives thousands of pilgrims from different Christian denominations. A church is not a museum, and it cannot stand without prayer. It cannot stand without this presence. Above all, this is what we friars do in the Holy Land. Because the sanctuary of Gethsemane, first thing, as well as the others, calls us to prayer. But here especially, I think, more because Jesus prayed here, and also prayer and obedience to the Father. Then there is another aspect of the sanctuary, a very special aspect. This shrine also gathers other Christian denominations. It is not only Catholics. There are many Protestants for whom this place is very important, especially for prayer. For Jesus praying, teaching how to pray, looking at the will of the Father. So it is a sanctuary that teaches us to open the Bible, that teaches us that Scripture is also going forward in this.